Let's welcome our honorable guest, Kylie. Yeah.
We heard that you are back to AMLO now.
Yeah.
So how's your podcast channel?
It continues because there's a brand that's already been built. Already.
You thought you lost competitor.
You thought the competition was going to go right. In politics, it's about resilience and it's about working together.
Is being PM one of your goals?
One day, I want to lead UMNO. One day, I want to be your Prime Minister. Untuk kita bangunkan negara ini.
So which area would you contest?
Pandan or
Wah? Is it?
They want to see the emperors clash lah.
Yeah.
In politics, sometimes you have to go outside your comfort zone. You have to take a risk and you have to grab the challenge. But if you do that all the time, you
already did that last time.
Yes.
This episode is proudly brought to you by Trapo. Very nervous, eh?
Why?
Because it's our very long anticipated politician and also our competitor.
In podcast.
Different market.
So let's welcome our honorable guest, Kylie. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. KJ.
Hi, how are
so
you?
we heard that you are back to AMLO
Yeah.
now.
Wow, first question.
Yeah.
So
So how's your podcast channel? So the K has changed the name to Kembali Semula, is it?
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. My membership application or reapplication still has not been processed and approved yet.
Oh, is it? Oh.
On the 17th. On the 17th, they will have a meeting to decide.
I see.
But I hope that it's just formality. And I hope that I will be reinstated as a member. That's one. Secondly, the podcast that we have built together with Sharil and also supported by other friends like Hon Kian Meng, Zaidil. This will continue because I think we already...
You thought you lost the competitor.
You thought the competition was going to go right.
Yeah, because our audience always compare us with you.
Yeah,
but it's our honor lah.
I think it continues because there's a brand that's already been built.
More and more politicians join as podcaster as well.
More and more
Then
failed
you
politicians.
I didn't say so, Rafizi.
No, hey. More and more politicians on leave lah. On leave.
Okay.
Semua keluar sekejap lah.
Semua keluar sekejap.
Yeah. Although you're saying that the application is still under process, but we are still curious what makes you willing to submit the application to rejoin AMLO.
Oh yeah, good question.
Because like in your last election and even your podcast, sometimes you still criticize Zahid, right? Yeah. So
Before that lah.
I think there's nothing wrong with criticizing your party. I think that as long as the criticism is productive, as long as the criticism has asas, has basis, he should be able to do so. Maybe I crossed the line. Rafizi is crossing the line. Crossing the line.
He's running from the line.
He's run past the line already. So when that happens, the party has to obviously take some action. Otherwise, you can't allow for these kind of voices to continue. But one important thing that I think we have to remember is that I didn't leave UMNO. I was expelled from UMNO. And until today, I don't really know the reason because I was never called for disciplinary hearing, saying this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do, show cause, you answer, tak ada. So I was just sacked through a press conference after a meeting. So to me, I never left UMNO.
Okay.
I was still, in my heart, UMNO member lah.
Okay.
Many parties, in fact almost all the major parties reached out to me, whether directly or indirectly, said, come on, join us since UMNO don't want you anymore. I said thank you politely, but I said no, I'll wait because I think my politics and I think my own personal political position is still very much together with UMNO, and I thought to myself, keluar sekejap. That's why I named it keluar sekejap, because I thought to myself, ni sekejap saja.
Okay.
And then eventually, I will find my way back home.
What makes you so besar hati? Don't you have hard feeling when your party did so to you? Like if my company expel me, of course I wouldn't be going back already.
Because you are not the bigger man.
So I'm asking for
What makes you want to stay in UMNO? Why is so special?
You know, one is the personal dimension, and the second one is the political dimension, right? So the personal dimension is that I think in politics you must have a bit of a thick skin.
Oh.
A lot of things are done, a lot of things are said, and I think that sometimes you have to look at the possibility of working together with people who may have done something to you. So in politics, you know, it's about thick skin, it's about resilience, it's about forgive, maybe not forget, and it's about working together. And coming back to that's the personal point. So I always believe in that. You know, there are people that even now, the last 1 week, I've seen people at open house, because now I go to UMNO open house, right? I see people who said really nasty things about me over the last 3 years.
What is
right?
the nastiest one?
So many personal things about me, about my family, things about my personality, just really bad stuff. And then now, of course, they come salam, oh, you know, KJ, oh, chief, welcome back.
Oh.
You know, in my heart, of course, I want to punch them, right? But I just smile and say, how are you? Okay. It's good to be back. And I think that's what politics requires from you. But coming to your point about politics, I still believe that for Malaysia, and for the Malays, UMNO presents the most reasonable, rational, moderate platform compared to the other major Malay parties out there. And I hope that I can contribute towards re-establishing and rebranding both UMNO and Barisan Nasional as the logical choice for centrists.
I just want to ask, what's your opinion on the opposition? Like, just now you say that...
Who is the opposition?
Perikatan
PN?
Nasional.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I believe that they are politically strong. So, especially PAS. Bersatu, not so much. They're having some internal problems now. They won some seats at the last general election. But I would say that the major strength of the Perikatan Nasional comes from PAS. And I foresee that in the next general election, PAS will be really the engine for Perikatan Nasional. But having said that, I have said that the opposition are not doing such a great job in terms of talking about issues, policies. Issues, yes, they talk about, but talking about policies, talking about what we should do for the rakyat in terms of government response for now, in terms of the crisis in West Asia, possible crisis with energy, fuel. And rather they like to play with race, they like to play with religion. And I don't think that this is healthy in a moderate Malaysia. That's why I say BN has to be the choice for the centrists. Kita tak boleh main that kind of politics. I know some people in UMNO does and do. My good friend Dr. Akmal does sometimes. But for the most part, we must remain the choice of the centrists. We cannot become more PAS than PAS. That's not going to be good. So I would say they play with race, they play with religion. It is very effective, but it's very dangerous. And when it comes to talking about policy, they are not so good.
Mr. KJ, so just now I would like to be frank with you. Our audience are mostly Chinese community from Malaysia. So in our point of view, we love you so much.
Thank you.
But it will kind of sad for us to hear that then you are still root for a Malay party. So cause all the non-Muslim in Malaysia, I think we are looking for more multiracial kinds of politics instead of racism based. So but just now you are trying to picture us a scenario that where UMNO is the moderate Malay party. Can you enlighten us what kind of future it will gonna be for us non-Muslims?
So I always believed, and I still envision UMNO to be within a bigger family. We always make decisions within the context of UMNO and Barisan Nasional. I joined UMNO because one, the policies for the Malay community made sense to me, but also importantly, that it was part of a bigger team, which is Barisan Nasional. I never lost sight of that. We have to work together with our partners. Now only left MCA, MIC, PBRS, and I think PPP rejoined recently. So there's only 5 members. When I was in UMNO in 2018, there were 15 component parties. There were a lot, including Sabah, Sarawak. So I thought in a bigger umbrella, it's good because we cannot be too extreme for our own communities. You know why? Because I think for many Malaysians, I don't want to say most Malaysians, but many Malaysians, they still feel that their community interest is very important. Although they don't like to play racial card, but they still feel their community interest is important. Education, place of worship, cultural identity. So they still find a home, a political home somewhere. And even if you look at the parties which are multiracial, DAP, PKR in particular, there's a tendency for it to be skewed towards one community. Maybe less PKR, but DAP certainly. Although they try to bring in Malays and things like that, but they're still mainly Chinese membership base. So we have to accept the reality that apart from smaller new third force parties, maybe like Sadiq's party or PSM, things like that, most parties are still either community based, ethnically based, religious based, or geographically based. Now you see Sabah, now you see Sarawak. You know, they may be multiracial, but they're clearly Sabah, Sarawak. They don't want to mix with local politics. So it's okay for people to have their parochial interests, but they must be within a coalition, within like UMNO, Barisan Nasional, so that you are not only looking at your community interest.
I guess the past election reflect that non-Muslim votes doesn't acknowledge this kind of model as their votes move to PH more.
Yeah.
So how do BN address this?
You know, our calculation at the last general election, and then I confirmed it with experts, people who really look at this, like Kian Meng, 95, even 98% of Chinese votes in Semenanjung
Goes to DAP.
goes to
Yeah.
PH lah, PH.
Okay.
Yeah, because DAP didn't contest everywhere.
Oh, okay.
I was personally surprised. I thought it would be 90+% average, but I thought, and this was the point that I was trying to understand, I thought maybe for certain candidates, that percentage would be a little bit different. Take me, for example. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm very popular with the Chinese community, but I thought that they may have looked at me as somebody who a bit more moderate, a bit more modern, but most importantly, COVID-19, because I think that at least before the election, when I went down to the ground, when I met with Malaysians, especially Chinese community, they had a lot of good feedback
I think they still have.
for COVID-19.
I think you did a good job.
And I thought,
I think
okay lah,
that's
you know,
genuine, actually.
maybe because of that, I may get a bit better support in Sungai Buloh. Unfortunately, I didn't. I think about 95% also voted for Ramanan PH in Sungai Buloh. That's when I realized that the wave, whether it's the Chinese community wave towards PH, whether it's a Malay wave towards PN, is very difficult to break in this day and age. And I think that we have to start thinking within Barisan Nasional about how we can present ourselves to make sure that we can take, I don't know, 20%, 25%. I'm not asking for a lot, but maybe 2 in 10 Chinese voters or 3 in 10 Chinese voters come back. And it's happened before. If you look at the Johor state election, it happened. You know, Asun won. Asun, who is in Wee Ka Siong's kawasan, Hitam, he contested Yong Peng. Yong Peng is about 60% Chinese. He won.
True.
Which means you can. Yep. But then when we looked at the data, Asun won because a lot of the outside votes didn't come back.
Oh, okay.
Because it was a state election.
All right.
But during the general election, when they came back, that's when MCA didn't do so well. But that means that it is possible. Hopefully, if I get back to UMNO, I want to sit down not just with UMNO but with Barisan Nasional, my friends in the component parties, especially younger ones, and think about how we can jointly present ourselves. Because I also remind myself one thing: MCA can post or can put a good candidate, but my fear is, DP will say, yeah, you vote for him, okay lah, but UMNO comes with that. You know, that kind of thinking. Then the Chinese voter will be like, yeah, true, I like this candidate from MCA, but he comes from BN, UMNO comes. So, but if we can present ourselves as good MCA candidate, somebody who fights for the community, but is also friends with UMNO, who is more moderate than PAS, more moderate than PN, more competent than maybe PKR right now, then you start thinking about the ground shifting, possibly.
I think that's possible.
Yeah,
because as a Johorian, I think like Menteri Besar Johor is really good in my community, amongst my friends.
We're looking forward for you to go back to UMNO, because I think Chinese community now longing for alternative and options.
Yeah, it's true, because like when PS become the government.
Quite like PS now also.
Yeah, there's some uncertification there.
You know, you saw that in Sabah, right?
Yes.
In Sabah,
Yes.
DAP ended up with 0. But the key difference between Sabah, that what we learned was that in Sabah they want to teach PH a lesson, want to teach DAP a lesson, became too arrogant, blah blah blah. But they know they can throw to Warisan.
Yes.
In Semenanjung, they not yet want to throw to MCA.
I heard that Warisan is coming next election.
Yeah, Warisan was here last election also, but the brand is not so famous here compared to Sabah. So you have to be in a situation where, for the Chinese community, if they want to teach a lesson in Semenanjung for election, they are confident enough to throw for MCA.
又要下雨了。真的下雨啦！
你这么贵啊，这边要下雨了，你现在才洗车？
没有啦，我要赶快把我的大镜做 coating， 不然等下那个 wiper 卡住，这样嘎，然后又看不清楚，很烦啊！下雨。
哎呦，不用这么麻烦，介绍你这个 Trapo Hydrophobic Wiper。这款 Hydrophobic Wiper 是由专做雨刷59年的日本 Mita Rubber 技术打造，有疏水涂层，水可以自行滑走，让视线更清晰。重点是硅胶材质，耐热，不容易硬化，比普通的雨刷更耐用。而且安装也很简单，想要自己动手换都没问题。当然了，如果你在安装上遇到任何问题，也可以到 Trapo 的门店去询问，而且还可以享有免费的安装服务。现在就到 Trapo 的门店或者是官网去购买吧。购买前输入我们的优惠码，还可以获得12% 的优惠哦。Trapo 雨再大也能看得清楚。
What do you think on the relationship between different races group nowadays?
Do you think we are getting more polarized?
Or more united?
I think in some areas we're becoming more polarized, and in some areas we are actually okay.
Oh.
So let me start with the negative first. And this is not systemic criticism, but it's just the reflection of the way things are. And I noticed that we don't really mix around from when we are young. There's nothing, I'm not criticizing. This is just the way things are. Because some kids go to different schools. So already there you are seeing this different, dia macam parallel line. And then after that, some go to MRSM, some go to Independent Chinese High School, and it continues until university. We tried to, precisely these parallel lines, we tried to merge them with PLKN. That was the idea behind PLKN, so that they mix around. But the reason why PLKN was a policy, it wasn't a policy success. It's a bit too late. It's after SPM, 17 already, 3 months. It's difficult to forge meaningful relationship, 3 months. Compounded to that is when they end up working also. A lot of our economy is very identified with certain community so not many workplaces truly integrated. So all these things continue. Then media. If before in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up, you only have 3-4 channels. So everyone have to watch TV, RTM, TV3, and TV7 those days. Now nobody watches TV anymore. It's all your screen. And it's all your algorithm. So if you watch only Melayu content, that's all you see. So your mind becomes more and more blinker, until you also don't know there are other people in the country, you know? So that's the systemic thing that we have to... I remember when Lee Kuan Yew was still alive, I had a one-on-one with him, and we spoke about this precise topic. And he told me that there were 3 things that he did in Singapore to ensure that the government tried to break down these walls. One is, of course, schools. So he only one stream. We cannot do that because we
have our cultural history.
Yeah, 1957 we already agreed that this is the way it is, right? Although there are calls to say only one system and all that, but I think it's too late. Secondly, he did the national service. 2 years, not 3 months, 2 years. You must mix together. And then the third is housing policy. So HDB is all mixed. And we must make sure that there's a mixed representation. I'm not saying that Singapore model is better than ours. I'm saying that that's how they did it. So what can we do? That comes to the positive part. We should be proud of the fact that even though we have 3 major ethnic groups in Semenanjung, and then we have so many other minority groups and ethnic groups in Sabah Sarawak, that we are a success story. And this is something to be proud of, because not many countries can sustain the way we do. Even though we have all these structural problems with ethnic relations, but we should celebrate our success story. And then, the best part, all these small things that we need to highlight. If we go overseas, doesn't matter Malay, Chinese, Indian, if Mak Saleh, we want to say something about Mak Saleh, we talk in Malay. These are the small things. Even open houses and all that, people say, we shouldn't celebrate all these small things. But this has become our culture. And why don't we uplift these things? And if we uplift these things, for it truly to become our DNA, we might say, you cannot celebrate food, you cannot celebrate public holidays and all that. These are superficial things. Who says they are? This is what Malaysians think about all the time. Can't be superficial. And then build from that and get the leaders and challenge the leaders to say, you must be bridge builders and not bridge burners. So I think that's something that we should focus on, an identity where we cherish and celebrate this multicultural identity. One. Secondly, last point is, this is a policy point. I argued, I was on the first Majlis PLKN. I made an observation way back then, which was, I think, more than 20 years ago. I said then we were spending 500 million ringgit every year on PLKN. And not every 17-year-old could go. I think about 30% of the cohort goes. I said, if you spend a fraction of this money on another program, I think we have better impact. And I said, what program is that? Rancangan Integrasi Murid under the Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia. That was a better program for me. What is that program? That program was, you get in one town or district, daerah, you get Sekolah Kebangsaan, you get SJKC, you get SJKT. From Standard 1, and you try to do co-curricular activity together. You can spend a fraction of that money, but from Standard 1 to Standard 6, they will see their friends from SJKC, SJKT, SK. That's better.
There's this one kind of theory that saying that actually we are very good with each other. The root cause of racism is because of the politician and the politics game. But what is your opinion towards this kind of...
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think I'm a bit concerned about our relationship between ethnic groups recently, because every incident must have a racial angle. Lately, the last 1 month or so, road safety must have a racial angle. Ooh, what is the race of the driver? What is the race of the victim? If the race of the driver is a certain race, if the race of the driver is a certain race, don't look, don't say anything. I noticed that has nothing to do with politicians. Well, this is not there to say anything. It's just the comments are just
Coming from the grassroots.
toxic.
Yeah.
Maybe you can argue that toxicity is years and years of
the
this,
result.
the result
Yeah.
of this. Yes, politicians contributed to it, but now I think it is in society already. And I think it is, I'm not saying that politicians must get free pass. We are not, kita tak bersalah. Of course, yes, we bear some responsibility. But I think it's time for us to also acknowledge that it's in the society. And we have to do this together.
Speaking back about the Malay votes, yeah, we already heard that it's very fragmented now. How do you see this? Is this a chance for UMNO to have a great comeback?
Yeah.
Do you think it's positive?
No,
or?
that's a great observation. It's extremely fragmented. It's three-way split now. In Semenanjung, we talk about Semenanjung. So it's three-way split, of course, between BN, UMNO, PN, PAS, Bersatu, and to a bit of a lesser extent, PH, because PH, UMNO, Malay votes for PH have been stagnant, going down a bit. But it's three-way split. Whereas the Chinese votes before this was quite solid for PH. So to me, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for UMNO to come and take a bit more of it. Understand that we cannot take all. Even before when UMNO was strong, PAS will always have a market. They have a market of about, dulu lah, before about 30%, always about 30%. Now maybe it's gone up to 60%, the last 2023 state elections. They are going to be our big competitor lah. So we have to see how we can get that 20 or 30% back with us. I think a lot of people will be watching what happens in Johor, because Johor soon, and Malacca also. Whether the Malays will come back to UMNO, BN, or whether PN, PAS, will become even more strong.
PH is not a competition. You
No,
didn't even
but-
bother to mention.
No. I don't mean it like that. PH still has some Malay support, but 20-30%. But of the three major coalitions, I think the Malay support for PH right now is probably the lowest.
What do you think about for the PMX? Will he attract any Malay votes? Or
Of course,
No.
he will get Malay votes.
Yeah.
I think he personally is a bit disappointed because he doesn't get the sort of level of support that he wants.
Okay.
Not to say that he gets zero, but for somebody who has spent the last 4 years trying to go after the Malay votes, I would argue sometimes to the expense of the non-Malay votes. And this is a comment that many people make. Why Anwar, going for this market? They won't vote for him. This is his market. He forget about us.
Yep, true.
I think for somebody who spent so much time and his political capital trying to go after the heartland Malay vote, the returns are not as good as he wants.
Wow.
And I think that's his frustration. That's why sometimes that frustration comes out when he talks. He uses very strong language. He scolds. Why you must still support these people? He's frustrated because he spent a lot of his capital, a lot of his time, and some of the issues people say, "Oh, Anwar trying to be more like PAS to win that vote."
Yeah.
But he still cannot get it.
It is because of the burden of DAP.
That's partly it. I think DAP has never managed to fully change that image in the Malay heartland. They try. I'm not saying that they don't try. And I want to be fair to DAP. The new generation under Anthony, to me at least, the language that they use, the position that they take is not as what we used to say as chauvinistic as before. And then, of course, they try to bring in new people inside the party. But it's not enough to change the perception of the Malay votes. Because you have one Anthony Lok, but you also have one...
Ngakoming.
I didn't say
You wanted to.
I didn't say. I would have said one X person, and that of course is what will go on the Facebook, will go on the TikTok and things like that. PMX association with the AP still hurts in the Malay ground.
So which area would you contest?
There's rumors that saying you're going to Bandan or
Oh, yo.
Muar.
Is it?
Is it true?
Pandan and Muar.
This
Dangerous.
Pandan and Muar is because they want to see the kepala,
Yeah.
the emperor's clash lah.
Yeah. Would you choose a safer?
If you have to choose, which one
Okay.
would you go?
Let's put it this way. What am I thinking right now? In politics, sometimes you have to go outside your comfort zone. You have to take a risk and you have to grab the challenge. But if you do that all the time,
You already did that last time.
Yes.
What else you want?
If you do that all the time, you are stupid also. lah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
True.
So the last time, I rolled the dice. I go outside of Rembau because they kicked me out of Rembau. Then I take up the challenge. I go to Sungai Buloh. 26,000 we lost before. I said, okay, never mind. I'll go. At that time, I didn't know Sivarasa, Ramanan, whatever. And all I know is that it's a PH stronghold. I went. And I came close, but I still lost. This time around, my calculation is a bit different. I want to go back to Parliament.
Very honest.
I want to go back to Parliament. I want to go back to
Politician.
Parliament. So I must do risk management lah. So in
Okay,
business,
true,
you have
true.
risk management. Last time, I was already 3 times MP, 3 times minister. I can take a risk a bit lah. And this is something that I've not really mentioned. I can mention exclusively to you first.
Wow.
Yes.
Is
Yes,
that I
thank you.
enjoyed being in the Klang Valley, in the city. In the 3 terms, I was in Rembau. Rembau, of course, some of Rembau is from Seremban also lah. So
Yeah.
ada bandar sikit, but most of it is luar bandar. I loved it. That's where my father is from. But when I came and contested in Sungai Buloh, it's a different feeling. You know, it's city, suburban, different kind of politics. And if I had a choice, I would like to be in the city area because that's where most people live. We have almost 70% urbanization rate. So yeah, some people in UMNO, of course, we are strong in the kampong, but cannot just be jago kampong lah. Must come to the city. So I have to balance the two, to risk management and
True.
yeah.
How do you feel for these few years? You
Staying
know,
outside,
for
right?
example, he's a performer. If he's not allowed to go on stage for 5 years, he will feel very frustrated. Like, oh, I can do better than what you guys doing.
True.
So, but you have to be an outsider. So, what is
Looking
your
at the
feeling?
parliament, what is
Do
your
you feel like very upset?
FOMO. Of course, the feeling of missing being there. This is what I would do if I'm not there. So it's always going to be there. I'm a politician. This is what I want to do. So that's why I start a podcast. So I tell them, this is what you must do. But I think in hindsight, after 4 years looking back, I think this has been a good experience for me.
Oh.
I
What have you
think
changed?
the loss has been something that is life-changing
Oh, yeah.
for me. It makes me more rounded. And in the 4 years, I get to see the world in a different way. People get to see me in a different way. You know, it's so different how people talk to me in the last 4 years and how they talk to me 15 years before that. How to talk to YB, how to talk to normal person is different. And I think that all politicians should lose once.
Great advice.
All
Otherwise,
for them and also for the rakyat. The rakyat can teach them lesson once. If you go through this when you're a bit older, towards the end of your political career, you can just retire. I have no option and luxury to retire. When I lost,
You got pension? What?
I didn't have pension. Pension only when 50 years old.
Oh,
you're already 50.
Yeah, but I had to wait 3 years.
Okay.
3 years. When I lost, I asked, can I have pension? They say, wait 3 years.
Okay.
So I have to go out there, I have to do podcasts, I have to do all sorts of things. Start business, do endorsements. all these things, learn how to survive. And that taught me a lot. It was a good time for me, good time for my family as well. I got to spend a bit more time with my family, and I'm very, very thankful for that. So absolutely no hard feelings, and I think it makes you more resilient to survive and to want to come back and do something.
Is being PM one of your goal?
Oh, you. Why you always ask?
Very straight. Because our English not that good, so we cannot put up balik.
Oh, you.
I mean,
He's thinking.
dreaming is free, lah, right?
Oh, okay.
Dreaming is free. Yeah, I always said from before that my lifetime ambition is to serve at the highest level, because that's where you can make the biggest impact, which is to become Prime Minister of this country. But if you ask me, is that still your ambition? Yes. Has anything changed over the last 3 years? Yes. What is that? So now, becoming PM would still be the greatest honor of my life if the Rakyat gives me the opportunity. But now, if it doesn't happen, it's okay. I will feel that I will still be enough. Before this, I felt, kalau tak jadi PM, I don't feel that I succeed in life. But after this last 3 years, if God says no, bukan saya punya rezeki, it's okay.
Because nowadays you rich already.
Huh?
No. I thought you built a lot of business.
Yeah, the last 3 years has been very kind to me, lah. The last 3 years, yeah. LHDN also like me,
True.
Very Chinese point of view. Got money enough.
Money, then no need to come here. Any words to our audience, like the Chinese community? They are very China one.
No, thank you for listening to me, and I hope that you guys make informed decision at the next general election. What I mean by informed is don't follow the wave, lah. Don't follow the wave. I think that you should think for yourself. I think you should spend some time to read and to watch things, and to understand that it's not just black and white. But if you try to understand the issue a bit more, then you will start thinking that maybe there's another choice for you.
Yeah, I think all the races should
Absolutely.
Share
Absolutely.
this kind of value.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please leave your likes and share this video to all your friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Huge thanks again to Trapo.
If you're looking to grab any car accessories, don't forget to use our exclusive promo code TBXBBK12 when you place your order on their official website.
Please go buy it. Thank you.